let's talk about our cities.
Okay.
And NAFTA, because I know you had a role in NAFTA. Sure. And NAFTA has become so controversial now, this North American Free Trade Agreement, that had the net result of shipping a bunch of American manufacturing jobs overseas or down to Mexico. And it's become super controversial with both parties. You can look back and find, in-depth articles in the New York Times and, of course, over on National Review and the Wall Street Journal about what this has done to American manufacturing. My friend Tucker and many others have made this like a central plank that they want in discussions, which is how bad American cities have become. How you step out of the train station at Union Station in Washington and you're stepping over homeless people. I went out for a premiere of a TV show in LA, literally stepping over homeless encampments just to get to the building, like open air drug markets in some cities in California and further north in the Pacific Northwest. Here in New York City, you've got human excrement on the street. You've got trash cans constantly overflowing. And
that's why New York needs alleys like Chicago.
Chicago, don't even get started. Okay. Listen, Chicago had a heyday. I lived there. I was there for 5 years under Mayor Daley. Those days are behind it. But this is my principal question to you, okay? Because Tucker and many others will use that as an opening to say, and therefore, why are we giving money to Ukraine? And I get that point. But I think, there's another question to be asked, which is, does it have to do with federal money at all? Is the condition of our cities really to blame on the feds, or is it to blame on Democrat mayors in those cities and decisions like NAFTA that outshipped all the jobs that kept them thriving?
Let's go. You got like 7 questions there, so let me try to peel through all 8 answers.
Okay.
One, first let me give a shout out that's being lost in the national debate to cities. We're on course right now, and I talked to the mayor of Baltimore, Birmingham, Little Rock, and Cleveland in the rest, probably the lowest homicide rate in recorded history. Baltimore's experienced the lowest homicide rate right now since 1968. So while there
how's Chicago doing?
Chicago's also a reduction. Also,
but come on.
Wait. Look, I'm with you on homeless. I get the open drug market. Nobody's been more outspoken about that, and you can go through my tenure, but that doesn't obscure or brush out, and I disagree with you on this one point, that crime is on both homicide rates, violent, and also property crimes on historic lows. It's a fact that's happening.
They said that last year, and it was debunked by the FBI.
No, the FBI numbers. Just anyway, you can look at the. We're going to. You and I are going to disagree on this
that's
one.
Fine.
It is on course for historic low levels. Now, as it relates to homeless encampments, I think municipalities, mayors have been way too permissive in a culture, as it relates also to drug markets. Way too permissive in a culture, not just for businesses, but most importantly for families and for children.
Giving out needles.
Yeah, and I think that the example, mayor in San Francisco, at least what I've read, the mayor in San Francisco, I think has got now the right approach to how to handle both of these issues. And it's also pretty clear, I can say this as I was ambassador to Japan, came back for the Asia Pacific Conference in San Francisco. When a city wants to clear out homelessness, all of a sudden it happens when you have a bunch of foreign dignitaries. So when their own residents wanted it, you should actually be as vigilant as you were when foreign dignitaries come.
Well, and tell me, Japan doesn't have this problem in its cities.
They also have a different type of social system, and that's a longer conversation than when this show permits. Second piece, and I would just not have a permissive culture in that. And Portland has now realized the wrongs of their ways. Parts of Seattle. You cannot allow a zone for open, quote-unquote, drug markets. It then becomes a permission slip to a whole host of other type of social and criminal aspects. So that's a massive don't go there. Now, 2 things that I think are really important. One is, I think is the president himself kept basically the structures of NAFTA, and after by the end of President Clinton's term, just a fact, there were 300,000 more manufacturing jobs than when he came in. Now, I think there was a mistake made, and no doubt about it. You can't leave Peoria, Battle Creek, Racine, Kenosha to confront on their own. There was not enough support, not enough investment. Americans always succeed when you invest both in America and Americans. That's why I'm big about education, big about the investments in technology and in our strengths. The bigger challenge, I would say, is not so much NAFTA, but is what happened with China.
Yep.
That's where you really had a fundamental, and big swaths of America were left basically to fend for themselves against the PRC, the Chinese Communist Party, and their strategy. And that's where you've seen the devastation. Now, do I think everything should be cleaned up? You've learned certain things after a certain point, vis-a-vis NAFTA, et cetera. I do. Both parties have kept it in place, the basic structure, because it's better to have, as Ronald Reagan said, two neighbors that are allies working with you, because that's a large economy and also brings the capacity to focus on other parts of the world. Second, though, China coming into the WTO with all of us hoping they would stay as strategic competitors, not realizing that President Xi in 2012 decided that China was going to become a strategic adversary. And that, unchecked, as you can see right now, both with the United States and the European Union dealing with China, that is where we've had a major devastation to the United States.
So what would you say to men in those cities like Detroit wondering where their manufacturing job went? What's the Rahm Emanuel plan to bring it back?
One is build, baby, build. And my basic point is we are short right now, not tomorrow, not looking to the future, which we are also short. Massive amount of investment in carpenters, electricians, plumbers, operating engineers, the whole building trade. You can't AI that away, and you can't get it to China.
How do we do that?
So I'm going to tell you one thing.
High school level?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you one thing we did in Chicago that I think should be a national program. And you have to hire career counselors, et cetera. You could not we made it a requirement, starting your freshman year, we gave you support. You could not get your high school diploma without showing a letter of acceptance from either a college, community college, a branch of the armed forces, or a vocational school. You had not just the Kelly children and the Emanuel children, but every child had to have a post-high school plan. We changed the high school from a diploma-driven to a career college-driven. Mm-hmm. And what comes next? There, you ensure that every child invest. And let me say one side note. If you look at the American history, there are three great periods of economic growth, all underpinned by one thing. There's the land-grant colleges under Lincoln. There are the universal high school education at the turn of the century, and the GI Bill. You could also add probably a fourth, NASA in the science and engineering and basically STEM as a challenge to Sputnik. When you invest in Americans, America succeeds.
Just to be clear, because there's a lot of my audience, understandably, has questions about whether the modern day college education is a worthwhile thing.
I didn't say college. I said college, community college.
I know.
Branch of armed forces.
Let me finish the question. So I wanted to pick up on the last thing you said, which is vocational education. Yeah. So what would that look like? Like how to fix cars, how to go to beauty school.
Everything from carpentry, electrician, operating engineer, bricklaying, painting. But
can you do it in high school? Like in my high school in upstate New York, we had the BOCES program, and you could actually do that in your 9th through 12th grade education.
We created a high school in Chicago for exactly that. And you also, one of the things we did in our community colleges, we had dual credit, dual enrollment. So we brought community college classes into high schools, and kids went from high school back to the community college. A lot of the community colleges had carpentry. They had electrical learning.
That'd be amazing, because we need it.
But it's a requirement to get your own high school diploma. Your kids are going to know, because they grew up in your home. High school is just one step. For a lot, they're going to know if you ask your children where you're going to be in 4 years or whatever, they have a plan. I just got to be honest, in the city of Chicago, which is true across the country, not just Chicago, some kids, 4 weeks is their plan, not 4 years.
Yeah.
And making them think past high school, making it a requirement, stepping in where it's not having at home, socializing this idea starting your freshman year is essential. That's number one. Number two, I happen to think investing dramatically in the most promising technologies of tomorrow ensures that America stays competitive. So that's part of not only you got to build these data centers. Mm-hmm. You got to build the submarines that we need to confront China.
Yep.
And we don't have that capacity.
We're not even really thinking about it.
No, we're not thinking about it. We're not investing in it. And the truth is, the mistake of the last decade, the best thing I can say about President Xi is he woke us up about a decade ahead of time. Now, are we making the most use of the time? Absolutely not. We have to start investing quantum computing, AI, biomedical, take alternative energy, take all the promising technologies of tomorrow, massive investment in the research side, what I call the brains part, and massive invest in the broad side so we have the capacity to make the most of this. And if you start with AI education in school, every child, every student will have the basics and fundamentals to succeed as you look around the corner.
Unless the AI has already eaten us all by the time the children get this program. Let's talk about immigration, because this is another issue in schools and elsewhere that kids are dealing with. I mean, in New York right now, it's crazy. The number of translators they have to have in the public schools, what the kids who are American-born are having to deal with. Why do you think Joe Biden let between 10 and 20 million illegals into the country?
Yeah, so let me start with what I think the challenges. And I'm not sure why Biden did that or the Biden White House. You're also, and I want to preface, because not your audience knows this, my father is an immigrant. My grandfather on my mother's side, 1914, comes to America. We're a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. And we're clear about the law. You break the law is going to follow you. That should be simple. And we're also a nation of immigrants. We want people from around the world who want a better tomorrow. People like from Asia, from Latin and America and Africa who want to come here and start a better future.
Legally.
Yeah, legally. Now, that's number one. Number two, and I just note is recent Gallup data all about how the numbers on immigration have flipped on Trump. The people reacted to the chaos on the border. Now, President Trump went from basically being the voice of order to the inspiration behind disorder. They do not like what he's doing in Los Angeles and around the country. They see him now the inspiration behind disorder. And I think if I was for the Democrats, we have no disagreement on confronting illegal immigration. We should be for, let's have a discussion about legal immigration, because there's a break.
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question.
On my way.
Why did Biden let 10 to 20 million illegal immigrants in?
They were not focused on what they should have been focused on. The border should never allow to be out of control. Now, he opened it. You're also talking to the person that, for President Clinton, was responsible for Operation Gatekeeper in San Diego, Operation Safeguard in Nogales, Arizona. The border should be secure.
So you disagree with what Joe Biden did?
I disagree with allowing chaos at the border where people can flaunt the laws.
Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.